Hello, let me first get this thing started. And you know how I like to get it started. Of course, God is great all the time. Once again, I repeat that. God is great all the time. Of course, it's been a while since y'all seen me up here. That's due to the fact we've been in planning and doing strategy meetings and more. And also getting ready for that big dance and making sure that we do everything, of course, great like it's always going to be. Now, let me get serious here. Let me get serious. In 1 month, mark my words. 1 month. What you see in Portland and what you see in Minnesota will be in Virginia. There will be buildings being burned. There will be protesters marching to more politicians' houses. We're going to see more politicians being ruled by a mob. And we're going to see the cowards that we need to see ahead of time. And guess what? They're going to be murdered not by a gun, but murdered by words. Yep, murdered by words. And what does that mean? We have too many soft, weak, spineless Republicans. Because I can't say this about Democrats. I can't. Not this one. How in the hell are we going to use Governor Northam's anti-free speech law and Republicans are the first ones to try to threaten the use of it in Virginia? Now, my thing is this. See, within a month, we're going to find out what leadership is really made of. Because the fundraisers and all that other stuff and the fancy speeches and all that little hoorah and all this other stuff, within a month, that comes to an end. And the reason is because right now, they have the momentum. Antifa, BLM, and the rest of them have the momentum, and they're going to keep doing what they're doing because too many of these politicians gave out glasses of milk and thought it was only going to be a cookie, and then they finding out right now that didn't satisfy the mob, which I've been saying. I said that a long time ago. Nothing is going to satisfy what is going on. Darkness and evil is going to not care about what you give them. They want more. And now we have politicians so soft, so scared, so bothered, and so threatened or harassed that words bother them. And we got protesters and rioters burning down this country, and you're worried about words. Seriously. I get attacked all the time. I don't care. The reason is because I'm going to hit back 20 times harder. I'm going to go for the jugular because I already know the person who attacked me is so weak that I'm going to rip them to shreds and have them crying by the time frame they leave their laptop or stop looking at their phone because they can't take it anymore. Because I already know y'all can't handle words. Some Republicans said, well, we need to use the Ronald Reagan rule. Ronald Reagan ain't alive right now. We respected what he did during his time period. But Ronald Reagan is not dealing with a war in his own country right now by American citizens that's fighting against other American citizens. And I believe it's all being done by foreign agents or those who are funding here in America the destruction of America. And you notice nobody's putting a serious investigation into that. And you know why? Because the money, the dark money and all that other stuff is flowing out there. And too many people are trying to take a piece of that money and sell out America. And that's what it boils down to. And they don't want you to protest. They don't want you to speak. They want you to be silent and don't ask direct questions, because at that time period, you're going to be not only threatened, but they're going to probably prosecute you based off of their definition of harassment and threats to public officials. And we've seen this abuse far too long, and now we are seeing it done with, of course, the extra little glue to it to say now we're going to prosecute it up in Richmond. And guess where all of our problems exist? In Virginia right now, is in Richmond. And right now, people are trying to speak up and ask questions about their future. And right now, this law is being applied to those people, which is eventually going to be you. Because eventually you're going to get fed up when all this riots and protests and all this other stuff burn down your home, or somebody in your family's affected. And if it ain't somebody in your family, it's going to probably be you. That's the point we're getting here. And we got politicians scared of words. Politicians scared. Somebody said this and somebody said that. Who cares? But you're letting Democrats and liberals know you are bothered by words. So what do you think they're going to do? They expect you to commit suicide by the time frame they finish trolling and making you look like a fool. All because you couldn't handle words. That's the problem with society. People need to start toughening up, and especially Republicans need to start toughening up and fighting back. I'm sorry, the devil doesn't care about how your feelings was hurt. They don't. The only thing they care about is knowing that it got to you and got you out the way, and so they could go ahead and move on with making slaves of other people. But we can't be the party talking about free speech and we the ones who can't even handle it. That's the point here. I'm like, you can keep running all over the state, but eventually people are going to catch up to you as a politician. And what you going to do when people are asking you direct questions and they asking you the same question because you refuse to answer it? What, I'm going to threaten you to prosecute you in Richmond because I don't like your question? These are questions, people, that you need to have about the future of leadership moving forward, the future of a candidate moving forward. We can't afford for people to have a mental breakdown because somebody said something that they don't like, and we in the middle of a general election and we trying to find the candidate, but the candidate is hiding in the bathroom crying and sobbing. And what are we looking at? Why in the hell do we have you as a representative? Period. I'm like, there's some spineless cowards out here, and realistically, that's why I said within 1 month, that's why I said I could relax on this one, because see, people are going to find out what you say has consequences. And if you're that tough, we're going to find it out within a month. And within a month, we're going to see those same politicians running. They ain't even going to go home. They're going to be running all over the state, ducking and dodging, and then eventually all the trash that they talked about, certain groups of people, is going to eventually catch up to them. And the thing is, we're going to see how they really handle it. Because I'm sick of these politicians having these meetings with these leftist groups, and we don't have a transcript, we don't have nothing to say what happened in this meeting. Did you give out any concessions? Did you look like a little punk when you was around them? What is going on? Because right now we see our country being destroyed by the very groups y'all meeting, and we have no idea of what you're saying to these groups. You see what I'm saying? And if somebody questions you about it, are you going to prosecute your own citizens because they question, hey, what happened in your meeting with BLM? What happened in your meeting with Antifa or leftist groups? What you going to do? You going to threaten Governor Northam's law to say, hey, I don't want you to question me, and I can take your continuous questioning as harassment and a threat? Seriously, people, when A police department is telling citizens to obey criminals, give up your wallet. We can't protect you. We can't do anything for you. This is just the new normal. You know how bad it really is? That's what CNN and MSNBC ain't covering. They really ain't covering Richmond because Richmond's way worse. But a lot of y'all in those outside areas of Richmond, y'all think it's not coming to your doorstep? If Richmond can't handle it, you don't think they're going to start pushing the buttons? Charlottesville, Hampton Roads, Northern Virginia is getting trashed. Realistically, all it's doing is spreading. And we got politicians, Republicans, that are worried about words, people. They are out there, these rioters and protesters are out there doing action. You know, that's what they are doing. And the reason why it ain't being shown all over the media because they don't want people to panic or go into a nervous breakdown. Do you realize the suicide rate is higher than the deaths of COVID during this time period? And most of it is because of words people can't handle. People can't handle a false story. I'm like, if somebody says something about you, say it back and hit back 10 times harder. How? Don't let people control your life. But the problem is, we got grown ups. This isn't kids who are having these problems. These are grown ups that can't handle criticism. They can't handle questioning. And the sad thing is, these are Republicans. And that old notion about a Republican shouldn't attack another Republican, I said exactly. The reason why we don't know our candidates and the reason why we can't defend them and properly support them because we don't know what they are about. And we continuously say the same message over and over again to voters that they are pro-life, pro-gun, pro-religion, and all this stuff. And realistically, what else? Because everybody has heard the same stuff over and over again. And realistically, you got the politician that can't even defend themselves and they try to use their little goons and trolls. But as soon as other goons and trolls, this is online, people. Match it in person. Realistically, match it in person. That's why I said exactly. Within 1 month, those politicians throughout Virginia, especially Republican, because we the targets, especially us. Yes, we are. We the targets. We gonna see how much tough talk is really gonna be handled when it comes down to them facing it in person. We gonna see that, and we gonna see exactly why our country is going into the toilet. We're going to see why the police no longer trust his politicians. If you want to really find out exactly how things is in Virginia, talk to a police officer. Ask a police officer about the candidates that they know and what they're going to all tell you. We are getting defunded. Our jobs is being cut. And we are being told to be nice to criminals. And we are releasing them. And realistically, I would love for you to speak out, but too bad that lawmakers are threatening to lock you up if you speak out on behalf of us. So I don't know where you go from here, and what do we do when it comes down to these riots and these protesters going out of control? They're going to be sending out a letter just like Minnesota. Hand over your wallet, hand over your phone, or just comply. Yes, just comply. These are the politicians telling you that. Seriously. And this is the America that you want. And these are the same career politicians with all the accolades and all this other stuff. And then what happens when you get hurt or your family get hurt? You're going to want to speak up for them. And you're going to want to get answers. And then come to find out that politician says, if you come back up here asking me another question, I'm going to lock you up. That's what really is going on. This is not even a joke, people. Portland will become Virginia because of these spineless cowards. And they are putting everybody, every American citizen, every Virginia citizen underneath a bus for those terrorists who got a cookie and now a glass of milk. Seriously, people, pay attention to who you vote for. We got candidates right now that won their primary, but they still running in their primary. They have no chance in hell in winning in November. If Democrats do what we are expecting them to do, because it's their job. A lot of these candidates won't go to certain places because they figure they don't get invited. But talk to their members of those groups and let them know you're not getting an invite. Put up a fight. Throw some chairs. Go to Northern Virginia. I don't care what you do. Call some attention. Curse out some Democrats. Do something to get Republicans excited about voting for you and give independents and those swing voters a reason to say that you are going to be committed to change. Too bad that you are threatening them and their First Amendment rights to even ask you a question. So how you going to talk to somebody that you ain't going to allow to talk? How you going to listen to somebody who you ain't even trying to even hear out? Seriously? We got Mark Warner and Bobby Scott, Tim Kaine, and all these different politicians that are used to getting cursed out, used to getting thrown under the bus, used to doing this. And you're telling me that Democrats is going to be nice to you? They already took away your church. They're already trying to take away your guns. They're already promoting the riots and protests. You think they really care about you? They knocking down your history, burning the Bibles, kneeling on the flag. What makes you think they care about you? Seriously. What makes you think they care about you and what you have to say? But we care about what we say. Meaning Republicans are scared of Republicans asking questions. Most of the old school conservatives I meet and Republicans I meet, they ask tough questions. They ain't trying to hear you use a First Amendment threat, and nor are they trying to see it, because they are looking at their country right now, and realistically, they don't have nothing nice to say to any politician. But they damn sure don't want a politician, because that's what you are, because you ain't a Republican. Because if you worried about people speaking out freely, how you going to suppress people's rights while you claiming to protect them? But you okay with it long as it's favorable to you. You see what I'm saying? I don't care if it's favorable, because sometimes if you listen to people, they may be right and you may be wrong. But you want to keep being wrong because your ego got hurt. That's the point. I listen to people out. If I could destroy your debate, the question or the discussion, that's what I'm going to do. But I'm going to give you the opportunity to speak. But the second that you're speaking not civil to me, I'm not going to speak civil to you. I'm going to probably throw you underneath the bus and lay you straight out. But I ain't going to block you. I ain't going to stop you from speaking and saying how much you hate me. That's your right to hate me. It's my right to lay you out. You know, that's just the way it is. And that's how I live. I live by hit 20 times harder. You wonder why people are waiting and so excited for President Trump to come to Virginia, but they ain't excited about anybody else? Because guess what? He represents the fact that there's a fighter, and the rest of them represent the fact that you are unsure who they are, but you only know that they are a Republican. That's the problem. Because if you're so worried about feelings being hurt or what's being said about you, when it comes down to the general election and everybody's throwing you underneath the bus, the problem is Republicans send in these nominees that can't handle that. And by that time frame, their supporters can't handle that because they have been breastfeeding, that's what I call it, breastfeeding their supporters. So by the time frame they are in a general election and they get attacked, Their supporters can't handle the dirt being said by the other side to their own nominee. And by that time frame, those supporters become Democrats because they're like, I don't know that, I didn't know that about you. Well, you should have known that. And you didn't know, that's really your fault. But the fact is, y'all too soft. That's why I tell my supporters, if somebody lays you out or cusses you out and not civil to you, do not be civil to them. Fight back and hit 10 times harder, 20 times harder. Make them feel, like I said, kick them while they down. That's what my motto is. Kick Democrats while they down. That's how we win. Tough and being tough on each other. Not soft on each other. Asking the tough questions. Making sure people can handle the heat in front of the kitchen. But you can't handle that within our own party. That's why we're getting destroyed in our elections. Because nobody else can handle that because they haven't been given the proper training to deal with the art of war. Because that's what politics is right now. Ronald Reagan can't win you an election right now. You have to. And realistically, Ronald Reagan ain't going to stop Antifa and BLM. He did his fight. Your fight right now is dealing with the fact of how do we bring calm to a nation and how do we get back to normal. And being a scared politician doesn't serve us or our country any good. So to America and to Virginia and to fellow Republicans, be tough on all of us. Question all of us. Vet all of us. And somebody crying, bitching, and moaning because you're questioning them, imagine what they look like when they get in a general election and Democrats is running ads all over the place, criticizing them. Democrats is all up on their Facebook or their Instagram, whatever, talking trash about them. What they gonna do? Cry and resign and say they don't want the nomination anymore because their feelings kept getting hurt or they have a mental breakdown? We're going to have our nominees in a state mental hospital, not on the campaign trail. That's because they too soft. Y'all breastfed them into a campaign in which they wasn't used to. Because right now, a lot of Republicans ain't used to what's going on right now. A lot of Democrats ain't used to what's going on right now. But those who have seen it, been in it, and vice versa, they are the ones who are able to stop it. And trust me, they're not going to throw their police underneath the bus. Like I said, pay attention to these politicians. If they crying martial law, that means they feel like their police department is inadequate. Period. And our police department is not inadequate. Our Virginia State Police ain't inadequate. We just got inadequate politicians that are making the decisions that police should be making. Plain and simple. As far as I'm concerned, if our nominees right now doesn't get their head out their ass and start fighting these Democrats the way they need to be fought, we are going to lose seat after seat, and guess what? Socialism is going to be the Republican Party's fault because their feelings got hurt by words. Because realistically, if I was a Democratic strategist right now, if I saw somebody bitching over the fact of words being said about them or fake news, and they got all rattled and bothered, what do you think I'm going to do? And if I'm that vicious, which they are, because remember, some of them asked for the assassination of Jesus just a few days ago. Do you think they care about your Republican ass? So stop telling other Republicans to ease up on people or be nice and all this other stuff. Sorry, the devil can still do its work and its business while you're being nice and sorry. And realistically, the devil's been trying to take over, and we see America the way it is right now. So like I said, we got to get on the ball, people. And the sad thing is, this is August, and our elections are coming up what is that, 100 days or something like that? November. It's coming up in November. And my thing is, ask all of these stupid Republican candidates, because right now I'm so disappointed in all of them, even some I endorsed, because I expected them to be running in the general election and being at places other than being at fundraisers, and all I see them at is at fundraisers, and they ain't even trying to get new voters. A lot of our voters are dead that voted 4 years ago. Do y'all take that into account? Seriously, we gotta be about winning and not worrying about our feelings and all this other stuff. We have the prime opportunity to get swing voters and independents, and nobody's trying to, because they feel like there's no need to even try. And that's exactly, there's no need for you to be elected either. Seriously, y'all need to get on the ball and get the point. That's why right now I'm just concentrating on making sure President Trump is elected, because he's the only leader right now from that, not from Virginia, but will fight for our rights. I mean, fight. And that's what we need right now. And right now, people ain't even fighting to win their own elections. They just basically, hey, I'm the nominee. Please. We got to do better, people. We got to. Our country depends on this. And you tell me you haven't done no branching out. None. I'm like, I can see, it's like everybody's in their comfortable zone. I'm going to show up to a Republican committee meeting. I'm going to show up for a Republican rally. We need people showing up to Democrats, their rallies, their meetings, holding debates, taking on their members right in front of their members. If they don't want to invite us in, we go ahead and keep knocking on their door and saying, what has the Democratic Party done for you in the last 4 years? That's how you start the conversation. And if they don't want to listen, oh well, you still give them your platform. You still try to get them to turn into Republicans. Or at least say, hey, I'm going to vote for you. I may be a Democrat, but I'm going to vote for you because I like what you're about. You don't realize how stupid and ignorant a lot of people are to the fact of voting for a party against them. And it's not an insult. It's just the fact that they don't have no reason to vote for anybody else. And you could probably have a policy as you told them and put a minute of your time into them and say, hey, this is where I stand. You don't know how important that moment in that person's life to change them from a liberal, from being pathetic, to being a conservative and being a champion for this country. See, as you abandon voters, they're going to abandon you. Plain and simple. So that's why I told people I'm not focusing on Kirk Cox or Amanda Chase. I don't have the time for that right now. Right now, I got President Trump, who I'm really worried about, because he sets the tone for me finding tough fighters and conservatives that's really going to back Trump up. Everybody else is too busy trying to line their pockets. And realistically, I need fighters in those Democratic strongholds. I'm a fighter, I don't mind it. But at the same time frame, I do mind if we are losing 33 seats and we are having no excuse for it, but we got a bunch of millionaire Republicans who don't even have a majority, and you being a millionaire doesn't have nothing to do with the fact that Democrats is still committed to socialism and changing the laws. And I'm sorry, we are tired of buying that excuse. We don't have the votes. We don't have the votes because we stopped paying attention to what the fuck y'all was doing. It's time for us to start paying attention, people, and start asking the tough questions and making sure we are hard on each other. Nobody should make it into the general election without being battered and bruised by us. So when that happens, Democrats can't use any dirt on that candidate to get us to switch off. That's when we become on offense going into the general election, knowing that we already been there. Anything you throw at us, that's how Trump won. President Trump won because he had a tough primary. They threw all of that stuff out there. By the time frame Democrats tried to even go up against Trump, there was nothing that could be done. Because guess what everybody's saying? We already know he ain't perfect. The problem is candidates try to pretend to be perfect. And then when they get into the general election, Democrats show how imperfect your candidate was. And had we known, we could have fixed that problem. And guess what? We have more Republicans voting for Democrats because they are so pissed off at this image or this appearance that their own candidate gave them. See that? It's the reality. We got to play to win, like I said. But people can go ahead and sit on their hands all they want to. But like I said, I don't have time for Kirk Cox. I don't have time for Amanda Chase. I don't have time for even the 3rd congressional or 2nd congressional race. If y'all want to win, give me a call. But if you want to lose, I'm going to go ahead and be like everybody else in America. When we're looking at November, we're going to see the blue wave. And we're going to see BLM and Portland finish off the job all across America. Because Democrats are funding it. See what I'm saying? So like I said, if you don't want Virginia to become Portland, you better start toughening it up, Republicans. Because realistically, we don't have time for people to be making friends with them. Period. So, have a great day. God bless America. And this is Merle Rutledge, the 2021 candidate for governor of Virginia.